doctor. I got a text this morning from him. I met with, I believe, Dr. Andrews today, and surgery set for tomorrow. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And, JT and Cardell responded very well. The biggest issue I see, or the positive we have right now, is we have a good 1 and 2 group of wide receivers that are just rotating out. There's really not a set 1 or 2. We'll list the starting depth chart, I imagine, tomorrow. But the nice thing is that I can see 6 that will be game ready for us. And I'll answer the questions.
Front row left, Lori.
You had said last year that one of the pivotal moments in your season was the injury to Christian Bryant. I know the circumstances are different, but did anything about the way that played out inform how you've handled Braxton's injury?
Oh, I think getting younger, the issue was last year, and I expressed on the staff, obviously publicly too, is that you got to get young players ready to play. And sometimes you say, well, they don't quite know what they're doing. That's why they call you coach, get them to know what they're doing. But I'm really fortunate this year, but a lot of pressure on the coaches to get guys ready to play. So if you have talent, not knowing what to do is that's not acceptable. So that's the biggest thing I took out of last year.
Did you have any relationship with Keenan Reynolds? I only ask because he says he was a big fan of yours and wanted to play for you with the Gators.
Keenan Reynolds.
The Navy quarterback?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm a big fan of his too. I didn't know him coming out of high school. And, I just know that Navy coaches and some people that talk to think he's the best that they've ever had, which takes your breath away a little bit.
Doug, front row left.
Urban, you've had a couple different battles in the preseason. Where do you stand with the other 2 spots in the offensive line and the other starting corner spot?
Left guard's not named yet, and it's not because of ability. It's just that we haven't found the guy that has separated himself. So in the hunt are still Joel Hill, Billy Price, Tony Underwood. They're still in the hunt. Who's the other position?
Center?
Center is going to be, probably be Jacoby, and Chad Lindsey will, we haven't named the center, I'll start with that video. So those are 2, but it's once again, still because of battles going on.
And the other corner spot?
The other corner is Eli and Gary on the they haven't separated themselves yet, which is good stuff. They'll both play.
So is that, to have competition still in game week, is that good or is that not good?
It's if they're bad players, if you got a problem. If they're really good players and just battling, because they're both going to play, and that's kind of normal this time of year. Like I couldn't tell you the starting receiver right now.
Who's that group though? When you say you have 6?
Yeah, Evan and Devin. Evan Spencer, Devin Smith. You got Dontre Wilson, you got Jalen Marshall, you got Mike Thomas, and you got Corey Smith. And all of them could punch in and all deserve playing time. So it's just a matter of who breaks the huddle first.
Second row middle, Bob.
Urban, for as long as you've done this, do you ever have is your anxiety level ever changed before the first game based on graduation losses or last-second injuries, quarterbacks, or
I'd say we play a little bit. You know, and that's have such respect for the United States Naval Academy, and I played when I was at Notre Dame every year, and then we played the Air Force every year. I was at Utah and Colorado State, so I just, and it's typical back when Air Force was one of the commander-in-chief director all the time like Navy does now. It's just incredible efficiency on offense and that odd 3-4 defense where they're all over the place. So it's with good players. And so there's a little, you use the term anxiety a little bit more this year, just because of who we're playing and the quarterback and the skill that they have.
Is your excitement, or you still get excited the first week like you did 10 years ago or whatever?
Yeah, I get excited once again if you have good players, good team, and I'll fake it sometimes if you don't have a good team. But I can tell you this, I think we got a good team.
Back row, Dave.
Coach, you mentioned JT Cardell in the same breath there when you came out. When JT got the job, he was edged past Cardell for the number 2 job. How close is that? And you go into the season as him as your solid number 1 guy?
That's pretty close. You know, it was thrust upon us rather quickly because you kind of, in my heart, I thought Braxton would be ready to go. You know, I didn't envision this. And so I thought, man, this would be a really close battle for the backup spot. And but JT is the starting quarterback, but it's not a big separation.
Could you see a scenario where Cardell would come in these first couple games if JT's not doing what you'd like to see him do?
Front row, Dave.
Coach, at middle linebacker, is it Curtis Grant's job all the way, or is Raekwon McMillan possibly pushing him for a starting role, or did you just?
Yeah, no, all announced captains here too, that brings up. Curtis is starting linebacker. The good thing is, once again, I think we've recruited some depth. You're going to see some rotation in this first game in that position. You're going to see some guys rotate a little bit for D-line as well, which you need, and then same with the corner spot. But this is Curtis is the starting linebacker. But we voted captains, and Braxton Miller was a high vote getter, and Jeff Hireman, Michael Bennett, Duran Grant, which is a great success story, his turnaround, and Curtis Grant, which is here's a guy that it's one of the great things about what we do for a living is to see young people grow up. Boy, is Curtis Grant a nice one.
Front row, Tim.
Urban, speaking of Jeff Hireman, is he 100%? Is he ready to go? Are y'all going to be reluctant to play him? I mean, just where does he stand?
Yeah, he's not 100% yet, but we anticipate he'll be ready to go. It's just in volume. That's what we're dealing with right now.
And I guess, you've talked about Nick Vanette before, but how much maturity growth have you seen in him just in the last 6 months?
Yeah, in the last month, he's one of the most improved. He's in the Tommy Shutt category. The Nick Vanette, Curtis Grant, Duran Grant, those are all just over the top, most improved guys. Nick Vanette's had a good camp at tight end. I'll tell you that I've seen.
Front
It's
row,
great for him to see what he got.
Todd.
Urban, you haven't said a whole lot about how JT's responded. Life's kind of really changed for him, in about 10 days. The last time he played in a football game, he was playing in a high school stadium. Now he's going to start in an NFL stadium here in a couple of days. Just how's he responded mentally to everything?
That'd be a good question for Tom Herman. I just watched and spent some time with him. He's Geitish, man. He's a cold guy that's had a very good practice today, had a really good practice today, and very business-like about his approach. He's not someone you have to watch to see the demeanor because it's the same as it was 2 weeks ago. We all know it's coming down the barrel at him, but he's handled it very well.
Is it hard for you to divide up practice snaps with 1 and 2? Obviously, you want to give him as many snaps with the ones as you can, but like you said earlier, the guy who's number 2 is not real far behind.
Well, it certainly hasn't been hard because they're both, the payments you have to keep in mind, both of them got every got, spring and fall. So we provided, JT's getting the majority of number 1 reps, but this is not the trust upon us. You read these stories like you heard about them. The coach has been sent back for the title game, what a great player. Something like that happens. He was get all the reps. That's the hard thing. Obviously, wishing the best. He's a great player.
Far left, Matt.
Just wondering, with the way Navy runs offense and as effective as they can be ball control, how does that affect your game plan? Does it affect your offense?
Yes, it does. I've been working through that, talked to some people who've coached in these situations. As a head coach, I don't believe I've been in this situation, facing a team quite like this. So I've talked to a lot of about 2 or 3 of my colleagues who have been in this, and there are some things, game management, areas where we're going to adjust a little bit.
Far right here, front row, Austin.
Urban, when you guys a couple of years ago started looking for a quarterback to recruit and settle on JT as maybe the first guy signed at Ohio State, what was it that initially struck you about him that made him a guy worth for you?
Oh, it was, he went to the League 11, and I remember we talked to some people that were there, and this competitive spirit was something that you can see it now. It just kept coming back to us, especially that position. And one thing nowadays, quarterbacks are committed so early that you're not getting, normally back in the TiVo, Cam Newton, in our Robinson area when I was in Florida, once you camp, you evaluated and watched it. And now it's kids are, saying, I'm going to go here because you haven't offered us yet, I'm a sophomore. And those are, coaches were put in really, really tough situations. And so JT was a guy that was one of our guys. And then kids would come to camp for whatever reason. And then we just did as much homework as we could and decided he's the one that we wanted.
You've spent the last couple of years trying to bring out more vocal leadership in Braxton. JT, is it fair to say he's more natural at that?
A little bit, yeah. He's not a loud guy. He's a very confident guy, though. Yeah, he's a lot like our previous quarterback, but they kind of migrate to him.
Far left, Rusty.
Urban,
Ezekiel Elliott full go now? And could
He's
you
full
talk-
go.
Could you talk about the pecking order of running
Yep,
back?
that's very, Rod and Deontay had a great camp. Warren Ball has been, had a slight concussion, so he hasn't practiced the last few days. You have 4 guys, Curtis Samuel, Zeke, Rod Smith, and Deontay Dunn, all had, they're very involved in kicking game, which you can't carry the ball unless you're involved in kicking game. They're all very involved.
Is this a good first step that you're playing on a neutral field rather than playing on somebody's home field? You can kind of, I don't know, it won't be a
I'd much
partisan.
rather play right there. Don't ask though.
But under the circumstances, will this be a good way for you to kind of gauge how everybody's handling things?
Yeah, I think so, and this is where you count on your veterans to, go on the road for the first time, which is kind of, done that here. So it's good, in your terms, it's a great gauge to see kind of maturity we have on our team and how they handle the business.
Final 2, Bill?
There were a lot of questions even 10 days ago about the team, then you lose Braxton. How ready do you think this team is for the season?
I think we're pretty ready. I like where we're at, especially after the next practice, and I like how they responded to Braxton's injury, so I think we're pretty ready.
And final question, Steve?
Yeah, 2 things. First of all, Miller being a captain and not able to play in the games, that's a kind of an interesting dynamic. How does that factor with travel squad, and I presume he'll be at every one of their games? Will you have to make an allotment for him, and that's one less guy you can travel, or how does that work?
Yeah, I tried that before, they don't let you take.
They don't go for that.
No, they don't go for that, so he'd be one of the 70 if he can go. He won't be able to go this time, because it was, but there'll be times we have to make that decision.
And just other thing, JT Barrett, is there a chance that we can talk to him before he makes his first start?
No, we're gonna let him go play a game.
Coach?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Coach.
Folks, let's migrate outside.
Very well.